Top stories tonight. 10 traveling students kidnapped in Delta State. Nigeria's president to attend inauguration of Senegal's president-elect. Rivers State PDP dares pro-Wike legislators over Governor Fubara impeachment threat. Rockets strike home of Prime Minister's nephew in Libya. It's good to have you join us. My name is Felicity Ezewike. Let's begin by telling you that gunmen have abducted 10 students traveling along the Ereni axis of the East-West Road in Ughelli North local government area of Delta State. However, the driver of the vehicle escaped unhurt. According to the Delta State Police Command Public Relations Officer, Edafe Bright, the police are on the trail of the abductors as no ransom have been demanded yet. The students were said to be returning from their school in Calabar, Cross River State on Friday night when they were abducted from the minibus Sienna they were traveling on. The Nigerian Army has announced its plans for strategic cooperation with other services and security agencies. This was when Nigeria's Chief of Army Staff celebrated with frontline troops at the Maimalari military cantonment, Maiduguri, as part of this year's Easter celebration. News Centre's Umaru Kirawa completes the report.
Smiling amidst the challenges at the same time, targeting on how to use persuasive means and sometimes force to eliminate marauding terrorists in Nigeria. Another ritual day for the Nigerian Army, the Easter luncheon, where the leadership and frontline troops have a meal together. It is usually a day to reflect on the successes recorded and boost the morale of the soldiers to forge ahead with solemn duty of maintaining Nigeria's peace at all costs.
The current security threats across the length and breadth of our dear nation has necessitated the need for cooperation with other services and security agencies.
Wounded in action soldiers also been re-energized to remain resilient and focused as their facial expressions reflect their willingness to continue to work for their fatherland.
I equally extend our profound appreciation to our gallant troops on the battlefield who bear the deepest wounds and scars of war. We appreciate your sacrifices. You are our heroes, and as enshrined in our national anthem, your labor towards defending your fatherland shall never be in vain. I therefore congratulate officers and soldiers of the Nigerian Army for witnessing year 2024 Easter celebration and urge you all to continue to espouse the values and virtues of love, peace, and sacrifice.
The theater commander, who spoke on behalf of the Nigerian Chief of Army Staff, expressed gratitude for the selflessness of troops and assured them of the Army's commitment to supporting their efforts.
In line with my Kiman philosophy to transform the Nigerian Army into a well-trained, equipped, and highly motivated force towards achieving our constitutional responsibilities, I have ensured the implementation of quality training, equipping towards combating the myriads of security threats confronting the nation.
Cooperation between services and agencies will eliminate any communication gaps that jeopardize effective responses to emerging threats. With strengthened cooperation, it will enable a coordinated approach, minimize duplication of efforts, and enhance the overall effectiveness of the security in maintaining peace and stability. In Maiduguri for News Central, Umaru Kirawa.
We'll bring you more Easter celebration stories later in the bulletin. For now, let's tell you that Nigeria's President Bola Tinubu will depart Abuja on Tuesday for Dakar, Senegal, to attend the inauguration of Senegal's President-elect Bassirou Faye. A press statement by the Special Advisor to the President on Media and Publicity, Adjurin Galale, on Monday said the President's trip is at the invitation of the Republic of Senegal. President Tinubu, who is the chairman of the Economic Community of West African States, ECOWAS, authority of heads of states and government, will join other regional leaders to witness the inauguration at the Diamniadio Exhibition Centre. He will be accompanied on the trip by the Minister of Foreign Affairs, Ambassador Yusuf Maitama Toga, and other senior government officials. The president is expected to return to Nigeria after the conclusion of the inauguration. Some residents of Kebbi State attacked a government warehouse at Bayankara area of Birnin Kebbi, the state capital, on Saturday night and carted away food items. The hoodlums, who defied security operatives stationed at the warehouse, also broke into some private warehouses and shops in the area and stole food items. They also looted a broken-down truck loaded with assorted grains meant for distribution in Birnin Kebbi. Attacks on warehouses had occurred at the Federal Capital Territory, Abuja, and Suleja in Niger State. The chairman of Food Vendors Association at Bayankara Market in Birnin Kebbi, Mohammed Gwadangwaji, said some shops and warehouses of traders were also set on fire by the youths. In the meantime, the Catholic Bishop of Sokoto Diocese, Matthew Kuka, has criticized the mode of distribution of palliatives to Nigerians amid the severe hardships facing the country. Following the removal of fuel subsidy, among other economic policies, governments at all levels have implemented palliative measures. Some measures include distribution of food items to the vulnerable in an effort to alleviate the hardship. Reacting, Bishop Kuka faulted the distribution of palliatives, adding that the people most often don't get them. He noted that a good part of the money meant for such is always stolen. Besides the issue of palliative, Kuka spoke on the country's need of healing. He urged the government to fix insecurity issues in the country. To discuss this, I'm joined by Public Affairs Analyst Ahmed Hussaini. Ahmed, thank you very much for joining us. This is about the third time in so many weeks. This time, they defied security presence to loot both government and private food items. The Chief Press Secretary in the state says this has never happened before. What worries you about this latest incident?
All right. I think this is experience has shown that whenever there is some economic hardship, actually people or citizens resort to extreme and desperate measures in order to get food. We've seen that during the lockdown as a result of COVID-19 pandemic, where we've seen a lot of looting and breaking of warehouses across various states within the country, and we're also seeing it now. But the difference is during COVID-19 there was a general lockdown that prevented people from going about their normal daily economic activities. But right now we don't have any restriction about economic or any other social activities of the people, but then people are also breaking into those warehouses. This actually demonstrates the level of poverty across the country, the level of economic hardship actually the ordinary Nigerian citizens are going through. And if this trend continues, then nobody is safe, because some of the victims of this kind of looting are actually business people who use their legitimate income to purchase food produce. And as a result, the situation will keep exacerbating, because as long as business people actually are not comfortable or do not feel secure enough to procure food items and warehouse them and keep them, then definitely the hunger in the land is going to exacerbate, because they will actually stop buying this food products, and then the prices will keep going up because of scarcity, and then the economic hardship will only deteriorate further.
The pictures on the screen is quite worrying, but you have the governor of Bayelsa State, for instance, and now the Bishop Kuka saying that offering palliatives is not the solution to the hardship in the country, even though they're not completely against it. They're suggesting that they should put in place the right structures and systems to address the challenges, the economic challenges, that is. But required solutions are immediate, because people are hungry. They want to see food in front of them. What options would you recommend to the government? Building systems take time.
Yeah, so I think the reason why it is called palliative is because it is a short-term measure aimed at ameliorating the suffering of the people. But then I think Nigeria, to my knowledge, is the only country that is not at war or facing any significant natural, disaster that is actually distributing palliative, to the citizens. And I quite agree with Bishop Kuka that it is quite, undignifying to ordinary Nigerian citizens, because what the government should have done, because all these issues are actually, caused by actions or inactions of the government. I don't want to blame the present government or the past administration, but what we know is that Nigerian it is actually a failure of leadership across the country. And
so what I'm actually asking is a recommendation, because you can see from that video and from the comments that have been repeatedly put out in the public space, the concerns that these palliatives also might not get to the people that need it. Maybe that's what is exacerbating incidents like this. So I'm asking you for recommendations on how maybe the government can, better manage the palliative situation, or long-term solutions. But there is hunger in the land. Complicated, I know.
So there are actually no quick fixes to the challenge we are facing. There should be some, solutions that are immediate. There should be solutions that are mid-term, and then there should be longer-term solutions that the government should target. Immediate solutions is actually to provide palliatives in a way that reaches, the most vulnerable, those people that deserve it or that require it the most. And then secondly, then government must actually take active measures to ensure that there is security in the land, because ordinary Nigerians have accepted to live their poverty in peace and stability. So if you give them security, they can go to their farms, they can go about their normal business activities, then they don't need to queue up actually and be collecting food and out from politicians. So these are the medium to long-term measures that the government actually should provide to farmers, not just peace and security. Security here is the most important, but also some kind of interventions in terms of agricultural input like fertilizers, and also ensuring price guarantees, at the produce market, so that actually farmers can actually get some commensurate return on their investment in their, in agriculture. So these are, for me, the medium to longer term goals. But the immediate one is actually to ensure that these palliatives are actually reaching those people that need it the most. And there are a lot of leakages and corruptions, everything that, and a lot of politicization of the whole process. And the government needs to sit down and look at how to actually insulate this kind of activities from politics and ensure that people who are actually most vulnerable in the society are able to get this food. If this cannot be achieved, then the consequences can better be unimagined.
Aside corruption and other mismanagement issues, one of the concerns that Bishop Kuka raised was banditry and kidnapping. He's asked the president to give a timeline within which to eliminate it and other security challenges in the country. Is it possible to give a timeline? Can we give a timeline to a government who inherited this dire situation?
Yeah, actually, the issue of timeline is quite tricky. I would rather say we come up with some specific goals and targets, say maybe reducing the number of incidents or eliminating such incidents here within some time frame. But then we have to actually attach a goal to this timeline. So, I agree with the bishop to some extent, but I think we need to be very careful at also looking at underlying root causes of the conflict in especially the northwestern Nigeria, where the issue of banditry and kidnapping actually is becoming quite an epidemic. So these, for me, these are the kind of things that the government need to do in order to ensure that these activities or the scale down of these activities, and we have to involve local stakeholders, because the solution to these problems are actually local. Right. Federal government cannot just, go to these communities and impose some form of solution, because if you look at it, there are a lot of cultural, social, and political, context behind this kind of conflict. And unless we address these, with a comprehensive, we come up with a comprehensive strategy to actually address, these challenges, head on, then we can only be trying to treat the symptoms instead of tackling the entire disease itself.
Quite true. Thank you very much, Ahmed, for speaking with us.
It's my pleasure.
The Joint Action Committee on Non-Violence Movement has called for an investigation into the debt profile of the Kaduna State, including the non-payment of contractual liabilities by the previous administration. The group, in collaboration with 27 other civil society organizations, took to the streets of Kaduna, the state capital, calling on the state government to ensure that the matter is not swept under the carpet. My colleague Amadine Uyi tells us more.
The protesters took to the streets of Kaduna, located in Nigeria's northwestern region, carrying several placards expressing their displeasure. They say the debt burden of the state is affecting the effective administration of the state.
The state received allocation of 10 billion naira from the Federation account for the month of March, out of which 7 billion was deducted to service debt left by the previous administration. The balance of 3 billion is not enough, as you are already aware, for the governor to pay salaries and other financial obligations of the state.
They also raised an alarm over the contractual liabilities affecting the payment of salaries, saying this will affect the livelihoods of residents in the state.
With a huge debt burden totaling $587 million, 85 billion naira, and 115 contractual liabilities, thereby making it difficult for the state government to pay salaries and contractors' debt obligations.
We are parents, we have children at home. It will affect our children. It will affect the livelihood completely of a family, because that salary is what all families depend on. Even with the salaries they manage, it doesn't go anywhere, not to talk of not even having salary at all.
They called for a forensic audit of the state's accounts and other financial transactions by the former government.
Investigate the depleted resources of the state treasury. A forensic audit of investigations should be set up to find out the status of the IGR in the state. That the task force should be constituted to recover all monies and government assets from the former political appointees and former State House of Assembly members and the likes. That anybody found wanting for the investigation should have his assets confiscated and forfeited to the state government.
The protesters say several contracts were awarded by the previous administration, for which many of them are believed to be ghost projects. In Abuja for News Central, I am Amadine Uyi.
Coming up, Rivers State PDP dares pro-Wike legislators over Governor Fubara impeachment threat. We'll tell you more after the break. If you've just joined us, you're watching Tonight. A reminder of our top stories. 10 traveling students kidnapped in Delta State. Nigeria's president to attend the inauguration of Senegal's president-elect. Rivers State PDP dares pro-Wike legislators over Governor Fubara impeachment threat. Rockets strike home of Prime Minister's nephew in Libya. Thank you for staying with us. The Rivers State chapter of the People's Democratic Party, PDP, has told the 27 lawmakers of the Assembly threatening to impeach Governor Siminalayi Fubara that they lack the legitimacy to execute their threat. On Saturday, the lawmakers said they would not hesitate to commence a fresh impeachment proceeding against the governor if he continued to allegedly violate the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria as amended and the laws of the state. But the PDP, in a statement signed by its publicity secretary, asked the lawmakers to stop disturbing the peace of the state and allow the courts to determine their legitimacy. To discuss this, I am joined by Associate Professor of Public Law, Rivers State University, Richard Woa. Thank you very much for joining us.
It's a pleasure. Good evening, Nigerians.
What can you tell us about what led to this latest impeachment threat?
Well, I think it's becoming a regular thing almost on weekly basis or bi-weekly basis that we hear one thing or the other untoward of the nature of a threat or something from the gentlemen who are still sitting as members of the Rivers State House of Assembly. As you have read in the news, yes, they issued a threat that they would not hesitate to recommence impeachment proceedings against the governor, or to commence impeachment proceedings against the governor if he fails to do what they expect him to do. And what they expect him to do is to obey a number of those legislations they have tinkered with by way of amendments. And they expect the governor to obey what they have done and play in accordance with their rule, perhaps enable them achieve what they want by the quote unquote amendments that they have made.
Let's see if we can.
Basically, that's what they have done. Yes.
Okay, let's see if we can get your perspective, because I've asked the same question of a number of guests here. The question of legitimacy of the 27 lawmakers of the Assembly that's now threatening to impeach the governor. I'd like to hear your thoughts on it.
Well, I have on a number of occasions expressed my candid view, which is that going by the language of the Constitution, the moment they decamp from their party to another party without the constitutional reasons, the Constitution says they have vacated their seats. And the follow-up action that was undertaken by what was left of the House of Assembly sealed their positions, legally speaking. It remains for a court to say something about this. But the position of the Constitution is that with effect from when you do what you do, you have vacated your seat. So a judicial action is to determine whether you can be restored or whether your excuses that you have given can enable the court to restore you to the position. I have maintained the position that, for me, frankly speaking, from the point of law, what they have been doing is holding a meeting of association, some kind of committee of friends, and reaching resolutions which, strictly speaking, have no value in law. Because you have to be a legislator to make laws for a state. It's not enough that you wear legislators and you resign your positions by vacating your positions through movement from your party to another party without the constitutional circumstance that would justify that. So what you do is a waste of time, because eventually it will be pronounced upon, and once your position is confirmed by any court, all you have done all the while is waste of time. But to be honest with you, I don't blame them. I blame those who recognize them as members of the House of Assembly of Rivers State. It's only on the strength of that recognition that they are continuing to do the things they are doing and assuming that they are what they were before they vacated their seats. So I think I hold those who are permitting them to continue in that direction responsible for it.
What is the defining discussion in the academic circles about the political crisis in the state, how it is impacting government, and the possibility of an end in sight?
What you have is that you have a situation where the state has no House of Assembly, strictly speaking. If you also watch the conduct of the 27 members of the House of Assembly who have vacated their seats, if you watch their conduct, you'll find that they are not acting as House of Assembly members of Rivers State, but acting as a partisan team or instruments of parties to a dispute who are doing the bidding of that party. And even this last statement, if you read that statement that was issued, in which they issued that threat, they spent a whole lot of their time eulogizing Mr. Minister of the Federal Capital Territory and defending the minister against those who have held opinions that are contrary against him. That is not the work of the House of Assembly of a state. Mr. Minister has the constitutional right to defend himself and to take actions if he feels that he has been defamed and all that. They have increasingly shown themselves to be House of Assembly of Mr. Minister and not House of Assembly of Rivers State. I do not think they are acting as House of Assembly under the Constitution or House of Assembly representing the constituencies of Rivers State that they presently lay claim to. So naturally, the state will suffer. The state will suffer.
That's quite unfortunate. Prof, thank you very much for speaking with us.
Sir President, thanks for having me.
Let's bring you more Easter stories now. Easter celebration, unlike other Christian celebration, takes place on a Sunday, which is naturally a work-free day. For this reason, the Nigerian government approves the day after Easter as public holiday to give workers who are Christians a day off to relax and enjoy with their families. News Centre's Chinwe Ugele interviewed some residents of Umuahia on how they spent their holiday.
Most public holidays declared by the government, civil and public servants benefit more than private business owners and workers, as it gives them additional free day apart from weekends to rest and spend time with families and friends. By 2:30 p.m. on Easter Monday in Umuahia, the Abia State capital, it was hard to find any eatery with reasonable number of customers. The reason for this strange situation cannot be far-fetched.
The country is hard. I would say there's a word called Sapa Day country. So this country is not nice.
Some people didn't even know that it's Easter because of the economy, and so many families didn't celebrate that.
Residents of Umuahia say there is nothing to celebrate when there is no money.
Not really, I'm not enjoying it. There is no fun here.
Just pull out to my friends, spend little time with my friends, having more conversation about life and stuff and everything. So like as it stands now, like I just came around just to have a lunch or a brunch, better to say.
Every day just dry, like very dry. Today is public holiday probably, and it seems like nothing is happening, all just because of the economy. So, this holiday is not giving.
I celebrated with my family. We were indoors. Unfortunately, unlike before when we used to go out, but this time around we're all indoors. We had our usual rice and chicken and drink. It was just a family affair. And I also noticed that a lot of people were indoors as well. Because when I came out, I didn't see too many festivities or too many celebrations going on.
As for some who are students of Michael Opera University of Agriculture, Umudike, the holiday doesn't make any difference to them.
I've been at home for almost 2 months, so let's just call it 2 months. There's no difference. The holiday, all of them, there's no difference between the Easter and the holiday we are doing. So.
Holidays may turn sour for lots of people for the obvious reason that they lack the wherewithal to take their families to fun places or afford the type of enjoyment they yearn for. In Umuahia for News Central, Chinwe Ugele.
Commercial transport operators in Nigeria's capital, Abuja, say the recent Easter holidays has not brought about a turnaround in business fortunes for transporters. They say the festive holidays witnessed low patronage by commuters and called on the government to come to their aid. Some of them spoke to News Central at the Jabi Motor Park located in the nation's capital. Edom Joseph reports.
What used to be a busy area during festive periods, business at the Jabi Motor Park in Nigeria's capital is evidently having a slow day. As passengers who are able to afford the high cost of transportation wait for the buses on ground to be filled, transporters in the area complained about low patronage.
People are complaining that there's no money, and they have not eaten, they want to travel. Instead, they prefer to eat and to travel. There's no money. Things are very tough on them as compared to other days. Like before, we used to carry from Metro Port Harcourt 22,000. Now from Metro Port Harcourt it's 30,500. I saw everybody that can afford that kind of money.
It also boils down to the insecurity on our roads. The level of insecurity is very, very high. So people tend to stay in their home instead of going through the road or book a flight.
If you watch very well, you'll see how the street is scanty. People prefer not to do Webi because Webi you can use 2, 6, 10,000 in certain things. then any of the company that is traveling will take it to the destination you want that way to go to.
Blaming the situation to the high cost of fuel and kidnapping on highways, they say operations are being negatively impacted.
If it comes to my own field, fuel is the #1 priority. It's something that will make us begin to have petrol, because if we have much of the fuel and the price is down, I don't think the price of traveling will be that much.
#1 is to bring down the fuel price on the which is the major thing that we use for transportation.
The government should look into it. Look into it. The insecurity that is the kidnapping on the road and the bad roads.
Transporters at the Jabi Park are saying the removal of fuel subsidy has impacted negatively on their businesses. They say they are hoping for business to return back to the old times. In Abuja for News Central, I am Idong Joseph.
Today is the first day of April, which is popularly referred to as April Fool's Day. The day is marked in many countries around the world. On this day, people traditionally play practical jokes on each other and have fun trying to make other people believe things that are not true. News Center's correspondent Austin Azu, who spoke to a cross-section of respondents in Asaba, capital of Delta State, South Nigeria, about this annual event, now reports.
There are two extreme views on the origin of April Fool's Day. One is that it was first celebrated on 1392 in Canterbury, England, after it was conceived by Geoffrey Chaucer. The other is that the first April Fool's Day was observed in Nigeria 1892 in Lagos. Since then, it has become popular among Nigerians, always looking forward to the date. Some residents of Asaba, South Nigeria, said what used to be fun in those days is gradually fading away, as many people are more concerned about meeting basic needs than play pranks.
The situation in the country, in fact, Nigeria now is very tough. So nobody is even thinking about April Fool anymore.
Most of those things were done when things were in order. But definitely, if you see the situation of the country, you cannot do April Fool this time. Otherwise, the hypertension will kill you. You see the way the death is taking people now. Slumping when they are betting, sleeping without waking because of stress. The condition in the country globally, and Nigeria in particular, is not the one you can play this kind of game of April Fool.
But these middle-aged ladies narrated how they were pranked on this day.
Yeah, someone said one message like that. It's about credit alerts. At the end of the day, if you have to open it, you will hear April Fool sort of.
It was my sister that called me. That's about where am I. Then I was eating. So I told her where I was. She said she wanted to come and see me. So I told her to come to her house that I was eating. So on the process, she now said April Fool, that she's not in Asaba. I was like, so today is first, I forgot.
This lawyer, who said the April Fool's Day is only observed between 6 a.m. to midday, called for caution in such pranks to avoid unpleasant liabilities.
Since it is known to be a false alarm, it's a part of joke. And mind you that April Fool is not for the whole day. It's between early hours of the morning till 12 noon. Once it's 12 noon, you don't have to go into that joke. Otherwise, you'll be in problem.
This year's April Fool's Day fell on Easter Monday, which is public holiday for many. Now, whether a fun day or not, it is very important to consider the health status of individuals before playing the prank on anyone. In Asaba for News Central, I'm Austin Azu.
Strike home of Prime Minister's nephew in Libya. Find out more after the break. In North Africa, an attack targeted at the home and office of the Libyan Prime Minister's nephew in Tripoli, leaving no casualties. One of the residences of Ibrahim Deba, who also serves as an advisor to his uncle, Prime Minister Abdulhamid Deba, was damaged on Sunday by 2 rocket-propelled grenades. According to reports, Ibrahim Deba was not at home when the 2 rockets hit his office and the roof of his adjacent villa in the Libya's capital residential neighborhood of Hay al-Andalus. The 166 Brigade, an armed unit responsible for the area's security, immediately shut down the street and called in the firefighters. Up next is business news.
Business news in association with Money Master PSB, the easy way to master your money.
On business tonight, global airlines, including Nigerian carriers, are expected to see their fleet size grow to 35,000 aircraft in the next 3 years, adding 10,000 planes from a decade ago. This projection stems from aircraft deliveries totaling about 20,000 as carriers retire old technology planes, withdrawing around 10,000 from service. This accelerated delivery pace signifies a significant technology shift. By the year 2027, approximately 58% of the fleet will comprise new generation aircraft. Nigeria leads among 10 African countries with 140 aircrafts, averaging 21.2 years. South Africa tops the list with 195 planes, followed by Kenya and Egypt. Other nations like Algeria, Morocco, Libya, Angola, and Tunisia also have notable fleets. In 2023, the Nigerian Railway Corporation reported revenue of 6.07 billion naira from passenger and cargo transports, marking an 8.5% rise from 5.60 billion naira in 2022. Data sourced from the National Bureau of Statistics reveals that in 2023, the NRC earned 4.43 billion naira from transporting 2,182,388 passengers, slightly lower than the 4.55 billion naira generated from 3,212,948 passengers in 2022. Additionally, the NRC's revenue from cargo transports notably increased to 1.08 billion naira in 2023, up from 441.74 million naira in 2022, attributed to the movement of 317,244 tons of goods, indicating significant growth in this sector compared to the previous year. Ivory Coast's President Alassane Ouattara is set to raise the official cocoa farm gate price to 1,500 CFA francs per kilogram from Tuesday, up from the current 1,000 CFA. This decision follows a government meeting where earlier proposals of 1,100 to 1,200 CFA francs per kilogram were considered. The move comes amid global cocoa price increases due to the disease and adverse weather, yet Ivory Coast's official prices have lagged. Ouattara's decision reflects recognition of the exceptional market conditions and aims to provide higher returns for cocoa producers, according to the export company sources. The government and cocoa regulator have not commented on the matter. And that's all on business news. Do stay with us. More stories will come your way in a bit. I am Lekon Onobanjo.
Business news in association with Money Master PSB, the easy way to master your money. Sports Update, brought to you by Corn Oil. Corn Oil, we go the extra mile.
Bade was among the early birds in Abuja for the all-important qualifier against the Banyana of South Africa. Team coach Randy Waldrum is also in camp alongside Jumoke Alani, who is the late replacement for Al Nassr defender Ashley Plumter, who pulled out of the match due to injury. Young defender Shukurat Oladipo, Japan-based Chidinma Okeke, and Spain-based forward Monday Gift are expected tonight. The rest of the squad will join the team on Tuesday, while Bay FC forward and reigning Africa Women's Football of the Year, Asisat Oshuala, will join the team on Thursday. Nigeria will battle reigning African champions, the Banyana of South Africa, in the first leg of the last round for the 2024 Olympic qualifiers at the Moshood Abiola Stadium in Abuja on Friday. The Super Falcons have failed to qualify for the last 3 editions of the Olympic Games and hope to break the jinx by defeating South Africa to pick one of the 2 slots available for Africa in the women's football event at the 2024 Olympic Games in France. Zambia and Morocco will contest the other qualification ticket. Meanwhile, South Africa's Banyana are already in Abuja for the Paris 2024 Olympic Women's Football event qualifying tie with the Super Falcons of Nigeria. The current African champions will face the 9-time winners of the Women's Africa Cup of Nations title on Friday at the Moshood Abiola Stadium in the first leg of that qualifying round tie. Banyana arrived in Abuja on Monday from South Africa via a Rwanda Air flight after a stopover in Kigali. They trained in Abuja today in preparation for the key clash against Randy Waldrom's side, who also had their first session today. South Africa head coach Desiree Ellis brought a squad of 24 players for the match after making 7 changes to the team that defeated Tanzania in the previous round. And finally, to the Premier League, they've reportedly written to all the clubs to warn them of the potential of a terror attack following comments made by Islamic State spokesperson Abu Hudayfa al-Ansari. A terror attack took place in Moscow recently, which killed at least 137 people by 4 gunmen who have since been charged with terrorism. After the attack, Islamic State took responsibility, with the group then calling on lone wolves to target Christians and Jews across Europe, America, and Israel during the month of Ramadan. Counter-terrorism officers are investigating the recent stabbing of an Iranian journalist in London. Ahead of the Easter fixtures on Saturday morning, top flight teams were reportedly urged to increase vigilance, and they have also been called to increase reporting of any suspicious activity, while they've been urged to issue briefings to staff to ensure that they are aware of the situation. And that's all we have on sports. Up next is entertainment with Jadel Simon.
Sports Update, brought to you by Corn Oil. Corn Oil, we go the extra mile. Entertainment news in association with Glow Unlimited.
Dakar 90 is back. He has set tongues wagging with revelations of his upcoming album's lineup. In an exclusive interview, he unveiled collaborations with top names like Wizkid, Burna Boy, Patoranking, and Ghana's Stonebwoy. Duncan highlighted his album's focus on blending diverse musical styles and delivering meaningful messages. He credited talent and professionalism for assembling such a stellar cast of collaborations. Fans are, of course, eagerly anticipating the album's release, expecting a fusion of sounds and a memorable track from Duncan. And now away from the continent, Pharrell Williams and Chad Hugo, the renowned duo behind the Neptunes, are now entangled in a legal dispute over the rights to their iconic name. Hugo alleged that Williams is attempting to monopolize the name, which they both contributed to building during their musical career. Hugo's legal team claims that Williams' action is in seeking sole custody over the Neptune's trademarks are fraudulent and a breach of their long-term standing partnership agreement. Now, despite them being childhood friends and musical collaborators for over 3 decades, the dispute arose when Williams allegedly filed trademark applications without Hugo's input. In addition to challenging the application, Hugo's legal action seeks to void existing registrations, indicating a broader conflict between the 2 longtime collaborators over the ownership and control of their music legacy. That's all we can take on entertainment tonight. Next is trending after this short break.
Entertainment news in association with Glow Unlimited.
Moving away from entertainment news, the FCT Minister Nyesom Wike is trending on social media for a heated dispute. A heated dispute has erupted between an Abuja property developer Nicholas Ukachukwu and the FCT Minister Nyesom Wike over the alleged unlawful revocation of land. Ukachukwu claims that despite a court order protecting his property, Wike proceeded to demolish the buildings on the land without legal authority. According to Ukachukwu, Wike's actions were fraught by prejudice, as the minister allegedly exclaimed, "How would they take all this land and give it to an Igbo man?" before ordering the demolition. The developer asserts that Wike's disregard for the court order and apparent bias against him constitutes bad faith and a violation of his rights as a property owner. Now, this topic has sparked a huge discussion on social media. Want to know what Nigerians are saying about this? Let's take some of those reactions on X. Nove is saying, "I have tried to avoid the demolition Wike carried out in Abuja, but let me just point out something. There was a court order restraining him from carrying out any demolition, but he disobeyed it and carried out the demolition, I beg your pardon. Again, the rule of law should be sacrosanct for any meaningful development to take place." And then we have another one from Ijoba saying, "Honestly, Wike does not need to reply this. If the man has valid land papers, it is the courts and not social media that will reverse the seizure plus damages. It has nothing to do with hatred. We must learn to analyze facts objectively." That's all for tonight on What's Trending. Please join the conversations and share your thoughts across our social media platforms at News Central TV. I am Jadel Simon.
Many thanks, Jadel. And that's where we wrap things up tonight. But before we go, let's take another look at some of the major stories. 10 traveling students have been kidnapped in Delta State. Nigeria's president to attend inauguration of Senegal's president-elect. Residents have looted government private warehouses in Kebbi State. We also told you that Rivers State PDP has dared pro-Wike legislators over Governor Fubara impeachment threat. There is the news that rockets have struck home of Prime Minister's nephew in Libya. Do send your eyewitness report to the number showing now on your screen. You can follow us on social media at News Central TV. We're live on DSTV channel 422, Star Times channel 274, Apple TV, and on YouTube. As always, thank you very much for watching. Have a good night.